Hi, welcome to another Malicious Compliance episode of StorytimeGuru. In this episode, we will read 4 of the best malicious compliance stories. Our first episode is titled, Was Told to Not Tell Coworkers If I Have Any Problem With Them. Our second episode is titled, He Wanted All His Stuff Back, So I Made Sure He For Everything. Our third episode is titled, How I Almost Ruined the Christmas Concert. Our fourth episode is titled, Ex-wife told me to remove all my stuff from her storage unit. So I did. Hope you like it. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Was told to not tell coworkers if I have any problem with them. Posted by Joyful Death. This happened about a year ago. It was a fairly slow process, but ultimately it all clicked in the place. I have worked for this place before, but under different superior and different location, so I didn't know anyone at the new place when I started again. I have been working there for about a month and a half or 2 at this point. One biggest things that got on my nerve is, I wasn't allowed to leave until there was someone else who can take over. This person was constantly late. I don't want to go and tell the supervisor about this and get the person in trouble, so I figured I'd rather to just explain the coworker that I really don't appreciate her being late all the time. She keeps trying to make excuses and give an explanation for why she is late. I wasn't having any of it and it was pissing me off even more. I finally firmly told her, look, the schedules say you are supposed to be here at this time. So either stick to it or talk to someone about it. She didn't like that. Next day, my supervisor pulled me aside and gave me an earful and told me I was supposed to go to her instead of talking to the coworkers. I told her I don't want to get others written up or in trouble if I keep it down low. She told me it isn't my position to make such decision. She then told me the coworker have right to be late due to medical reason. I was fuming big time. I was trying to be nice about everything. I figured there's not much I can do at this point, even though I found it so weird that the coworker was allowed to be so late every time. So I just suck it up and let her get away with it. Few weeks later, the supervisor had a family emergency and wasn't able to come in for a week. The coworker hasn't improved at all and was coming in pretty much whenever she wants to. It was like as if she could do no wrong, and if I bring anything up to the supervisor, I'd get chewed out and give some make-up reason for why the coworker can do this or that. Well, one night, a manager come in and was surprised to find me there. He asked me where the other staff was. I gave him the whole story. He was beyond pissed and told me this isn't right and there's no such privilege in place. He then allows me to go home. Starting the very next day and onward, the coworker was never late again and the supervisor put in her 2 weeks notice. A few weeks ago, I learned the supervisor and this coworker was a very close friend, and the supervisor was allowing the coworker to get away with a bunch of stuff for a long time. She knew she was in world of trouble for abusing her position, so that's why she put in 2 weeks notice and GTFO. Best reply by Vi Legion. Just leave when you're scheduled to leave. There is no such thing as not allowed to leave in most jobs. So long as you're not in the military, not a surgeon elbow deep in someone's stomach, not a firefighter halfway up a burning tower, you can probably just leave. He wanted all his stuff back, so I made sure he for everything. Posted by Blackbird. Named Jude. I posted this in our /petty revenge and a lot of people thought it would fit well here. I just copied and pasted right from my other post. Obligatory, I'm on mobile, so forgive me for formatting. So my last relationship was beyond bad. He was all sorts of abusive and controlling. At one point I had the strength to break up with him, but then we got back together after we discussed some things. Stupid, I know. But yeah, love and all that. Well, anyways, one of the things we agreed on was that he and I would stop drinking alcohol because he was beyond crazy aggressive when he drank, and I wanted to support his sobriety. This is really important. Fast forward about 8 months or so, and we got into a huge fight, and I not only broke up with him, I kicked him out of the house and told him he wasn't ever allowed back inside. We'd been living together over a year at this point, so his mom got in touch with me about getting his stuff. While on the phone with her, I could hear him in the background saying, "Make sure they get everything I own or bought. I want it all back." Apparently even stuff he gifted me he wanted back, but honestly I didn't care. I was happy to get rid of anything related to him. While cleaning our room up and gathering everything, I started to come across numerous bottles and cans of alcohol. It seems he had been drinking again for a while and was hiding the evidence in the room. I mean, he was hiding them under the bed, in his guitar case, rolled up in his clothes, in some old backpacks of mine, and so on and so forth. He had said he wanted everything of his, so any bottle and the few unopened cans I found went straight into one of the garbage bags of his stuff. By the time I had gathered everything up, I had 3 bags of stuff and one was basically all just the alcohol. Dropping them off was just so satisfying. He actually called moments after I left his parents' place, ranting about how petty and immature I was being. My response? Well, you wanted all of your stuff back, and those definitely weren't mine. Plus I figured you'd probably need a drink to deal with the breakup. I promptly ended the call and blocked him on everything. Most satisfying thing I've ever done. Edit. Firstly, thank you everyone for the words of encouragement and everything. This happened years ago, but knowing people are still proud of me for leaving means the world to me. Also, there's definitely a lot about this story that didn't get posted, such as cops having to be involved and other things. I didn't put open cans or unscrew and bottle lids just for the fact I didn't want to risk ruining his stuff, as that'd be a huge headache and everything. Best reply. Next_attitude_9425. Good for you. It takes willpower to leave a bad relationship. One of my favorite quotes was from Robin Williams. I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone. How I almost ruined the Christmas concert. Posted by Hidden Acres 37. I was a senior in high school when this happened. We had a music teacher who hated me for some reason. I'm not sure why, because I never acted up in class and was in both band and chorus voluntarily. My flute playing skills are okay, but I have a pretty great singing voice. Not a next winner of AGT singing voice, but pretty good. I've been singing pretty much since I could talk. I have good breath support, project well, and have a decent range. One day before chorus practice, the music teacher comes to me and says, I need you to blend with everyone. I don't want to hear your voice over anyone else's. My face turned about 18 shades of red, but I managed to say through clenched teeth, okay, sure, no problem. So we start practice. She starts playing the piano, there's the cue, and I open my mouth to sing as per usual, only almost nothing comes out. Mind you, I am singing, just so quietly that only the person sitting next to me can hear me. It was a disaster. Half the room missed the cue to start singing. Several people are staring at me. You can hear the alto section better than the soprano section, my section, so there's no strong melody. The tenors and bass might as well not even be in the room. She stops playing about halfway through when it becomes apparent that nobody knows the song or their cues without me singing at my normal volume. She's glaring at me and I'm staring straight back at her like, what? She starts again. Periodically she's looking up from the piano at me, but like I said, I was singing, so she never caught me just sitting there not moving my mouth like she clearly wanted to. Practice proceeded in this fashion for a painful hour. It was the same for every song that we tried, missed cues, barely audible singing all around, and the music teacher's face getting redder and redder. At the end of that class she came to me again, and asked me why I wasn't singing. I told her that I was singing, but she wanted me to blend in, so I couldn't sing very loud, or she'd be able to hear me above other people, and that it wasn't my fault that she couldn't hear anyone else. She angrily turned to the person I shared music with, but she backed me up and said that she could hear me singing, nothing she could do. This went on for weeks. She tried everything to improve the performance of everyone else. She had us move our chairs closer. She mixed alto and soprano. She had us all stand in a big circle in the gym facing her and each other. She pounded on the piano keys harder. Nothing helped. Other chorus members asked me what was going on. I just told them that our teacher told me to blend. Finally, 2 weeks before the Christmas concert, so really only 4 or 5 practices left, the music teacher came to me and very quietly said, I'm going to need you to sing at your normal volume. Okay, sure, no problem. There was an audible "oh thank God" from someone in the alto section that day when I started singing. None of the other people in chorus were bad singers, but I guess they had learned to rely on my timing and volume to give them the confidence to perform, because the improvement was dramatic once I was allowed to sing again. TL. Drive. I was in chorus. Music teacher told me to blend with everyone else, and the entire choir almost fell apart until just 2 weeks before the Christmas concert when I was allowed to sing at normal volume again. Best reply by Zoreb1. She sounds like a dope, too bad she didn't ask me to sing. My singing voice had been used to drive demons back to hell. Ex-wife told me to remove all my stuff from her storage unit, so I did. Posted by Vark4731. My ex-wife and I split because she cheated, so our separation was quite tumultuous. She still hasn't apologized for the act of cheating and still denies it even though I know beyond any reasonable doubt that she did. I was incredibly hurt at the time and I'll admit I wasn't acting my best, but I still tried to treat her fairly. When she left we agreed that she would take over the payment on our car because she needed it for work. Our other car was totally paid off and I couldn't afford the payment on the one that she drove, but I agreed to leave my name on the loan because her credit didn't qualify. TBH, I didn't really have an alternative. I told her that she could keep it for as long as she made the payments, and that if she paid it off I would immediately sign her over the title. But if she started flaking on the payments I would have the car voluntarily repossessed. I also agreed to give her the washer and dryer on the condition that she take over the car payments. I had purchased the washer and dryer but had no use for them because I lived in an apartment at the time. This is important for later. Well, we inevitably got into a disagreement over the parenting of our children. I can't remember exactly what it was about TBH, and she randomly showed up with the car, handed me the keys, and said have fun figuring out how to make the payments. She knew I couldn't afford them, and then ended with and get all your SHT out of my storage unit. We hadn't finished untangling the mess of items in our jointly owned storage unit, but she wanted it done immediately because she was mad. So I did what she asked. I went over that day to get my SHT out of our storage unit. While I was in there I saw the washer and dryer sitting in the corner and immediately remembered that I had only given them to her on the condition that she pay off the car, so I took them. I had absolutely zero need for them at the time. But she had very specifically wanted my S out of her storage unit, so who was I to argue? She called me a day later screaming about it, telling me that she had filed a police report. I just laughed knowing they wouldn't do anything because it was my property. The story gets better. As it turns out she was just angry and actually wanted the car back. Well, the day after she had dropped it off on me I got into a freak accident and totaled it. Everyone was okay, so she ended up without a car and I never had to make a single payment on it. The universe wanted to maliciously comply with her demands. Best reply by Vlad Taltos. Once watched my brother's ex throw a big frozen roast at him. Was her last act of desperation as he and I moved his SHT out of the house. Damn roast bounced off the door, and he caught it in stride and walked out with it as well. We ate it for dinner later that night back at his new place. Vark4731. I've had a lot of weird stuff thrown at me but never a whole ass roast. Who does that? If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.